Her and I decided to come up to the States in 2005. No idea what we were doing. She was 19, I was 20. We got here at $23 in my pocket. So yeah, fell into the world of business, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And I struggled personally with, accumulating wealth because I was making a lot of money. There's a lot of money to be made, especially in the financial world, because
Yes.
that's where all the money's at.
Yeah, exactly.
Immediately we go home and we're like, so what are we going to do with this? And immediately both of us, we were on the same page. We're like, well, this isn't our money. This is God's money. If it was our money, he would have been paying us. But God obviously has some plans for this. So we're like, okay, well, what can we do to be wise with this? Like, if he has entrusted us with his money, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
There's a saying that you can't outgive God.
Yep.
It's so true.
Glad to have you here, man.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to join you guys on your podcast. It's exciting, man.
Yeah, we're super excited. This is episode 5?
This is
Right, 5.
episode 5.
Yeah, so we're 5 in, going strong.
Punching it out.
We're excited about
finding our
excited about
system.
opportunities that God has blessed us with, and everybody that he's been connecting us with, you especially. I mean, I didn't know you a week ago, and here you are today on our podcast. So look at how the Lord works.
That is good.
That's funny. So a little bit about Luke. He grew up in Colombia. His dad was a missionary there. Specifically, they did a sports ministry there that he's still involved with to this day. Got about 5,000 participants in that, right? So that's a pretty large sports organization that they do there. We got to hear a little bit about that. He moved to the U.S. when he was about 20 with $23 in his pocket is what he told us. And he started a financial firm and has grown it and scaled it along the years. And it's been super cool to hear his story of how he was able to use that. He goes and does seminars in churches for free. It's called the Good Steward Seminar. And he was showing us that as well. That's something very cool he does and offers for free. And lastly, he is involved with Band of Brothers boot camp. And so he's very highly involved with a bunch of different things. And he is someone that exemplifies exactly what we call as Kingdom ROI. He's able to leverage the resources and the skills and abilities that God has blessed him with and use that in a kingdom way and be able to have kingdom impact with that. So super excited to have him on, and we'd love to hear a little bit about your story, kind of go from the beginning and seeing how God's been and there throughout the whole way.
Appreciate the invite. It's love to drive out here too.
Oh yeah.
A fun drive, rocking some music. But yeah, so thanks guys for the invite. So I'll take it 2 steps back because I come from a multi-generational missionary family. So my grandparents on my dad's side, they're from the States, but they were missionaries in Colombia first. So my dad was born and raised in Colombia. So he's raised down there. He came to the States to go to college. That's where he met my mom. My mom's from South Korea.
Wow.
She was born right at the end of the Korean War, and she was left in the bathroom of a hospital. So American missionaries adopted her. So she's from South Korea. My dad's from Colombia. We both came to the States to go to college, and then moving up to Chicago to study at Trinity up in Chicago. And that's where my older sister and I were born. But I was just 4 months old when my parents ended up moving back down to Colombia. So even though I was born here in the States and know nothing about Chicago or anything like that. I was raised in a city called Medellin during the 80s and 90s, which was not a good time to be in that city. This is when the cartels were completely rampant and Pablo Escobar was running things down there. And so interesting time to be down there. So grew up in a very different environment, very different world than it is here in the States.
Yeah.
And missionaries, they don't go to the nice side of town. They go to where there's the most amount of need.
Sure.
So I definitely grew up in some, I guess you could call them ghettos. We call them comunas down in Colombia. But, I grew up like playing soccer barefoot as a kid, just because, not that I didn't have shoes, but, the kids in the neighborhood didn't have shoes. So,
Right.
So very different, they're very different environment. But my parents always, their focus was just to love on people and serve people. So I grew up with that kind of a mentality. I always saw everybody as an opportunity to be able to serve. So grew up down there. A lot of kids that I grew up with, like this 30 some odd kids that I grew up with, there's only 6 of us still alive today.
That's crazy.
So rough upbringing. But anyway, so I ended up meeting my wife down in Colombia. Her and I decided to come up to the States in 2005. No idea what we were doing. She was 19, I was 20. We got here at $23 in my pocket. And we came to Jacksonville of all places. I didn't even know Jacksonville existed. And my wife said, well, I've got some family members in Florida. And I'm thinking Florida, Miami, right?
Oh, yeah. What's Jacksonville?
Jacksonville. Where's Jacksonville? So I looked it up on a map and I'm like, oh, it's like way up there. It's on the opposite side of Florida.
Yeah, people don't realize how big Florida is. I mean, it's like 8 hours to get from the bottom to the top.
It is huge. Everybody, at least internationally, thinks Florida is just Miami.
Sure.
The whole state of Florida is Miami.
Right.
But yeah, so we came here. We got here in January of '05. It was like 40 degrees. And Colombia, we're on the equator, so we don't get, seasons.
Sure.
So it's like
Always
70,
hot.
yeah, it's 70,
Always.
80 degrees all year round. So getting here at 40 degrees, man, that was terrible. It was so cold. I never felt that kind of cold before. And just a lot of culture shock in the beginning,
Oh,
right?
I'm sure.
Like the size of the highways here, just massive. I don't know if you guys ever been to a third world country.
Oh, yeah.
The roads are really small.
Right.
Right. And there's no lines and everybody's
Nope.
just driving motorcycles everywhere.
Mhm.
Here, it's like everybody's so patient. Things so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just small things like that most people here don't even realize that. It's just crazy how. But yeah, so a lot of culture shock when you came to the States, and I started working ministry as well, just because it's in the blood. I'll tell you guys a little bit about my dad's ministry here in a bit, but
Yeah.
so I started working ministry as well, working international missions in Mexico, Costa Rica, and Colombia. And then also worked with Chaplain Doug Matty, starting the Spanish prison ministry in Clay County. And then we expanded all the way out to Hamilton County. So there's a
Mhm.
half a dozen prisons and jails that have a Spanish prison ministry.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because Spanish is my main language. I didn't learn to speak English till I was maybe like 6 or 7.
Wow.
Because everything was in Spanish. Friends, school was all in Spanish. But at home, my parents made sure that we spoke in English. So we're doing the opposite with my daughter right now. Like everything's in English, but
Yeah.
at home or when she's with us, it's got to be Spanish. Because we want to make sure that, she's got both languages.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's the perfect time to do it because your brain is still able to process and learn both languages. When you're older and trying to learn a language, it makes it a whole lot harder. So.
It's a valuable skill though to
It
learn
is.
both sides.
My daughter, we spoke Spanish the whole time, so she didn't start speaking English until about a year ago.
Okay.
And now all she speaks is English. So we're like, "Come on, Spanish." I have to remind her now to speak to us in Spanish. So,
Right.
but yeah, it is. I think it's super valuable to be able to have both languages. So come from a ministry background as well. About 9 months being here in the States, I ended up meeting a pretty wealthy individual, multimillionaire, who started teaching me a lot about finances.
Mm.
So I just took what I was learning, started applying it, started doing really well. And my mindset was, well, hey, if I've been blessed with the opportunity to learn this, I got to share this with people. So I just started sitting down and just teaching people these concepts that I learned. And this rumor got spread within the Hispanic community here over on the West Side on Orange Park that I was really good with money.
This is the guy.
Yeah, it got to a point where I had hundreds of people just calling me asking for help with their finances. And everybody's like, "Oh, you're the finance guy?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't even work in finance."
Yeah.
But I would always joke around, and it ended up working out this way. But I always tell people, "Look, I'll teach you the stuff that I know if you make me like some empanadas or something."
Dude, that's a trade right there.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man.
I'd go over in the evenings on the weekends, and I'd always be eating good and just teaching these concepts. And a couple of months later, this millionaire guy, he invited my wife and I out to dinner, and I'm all excited. I'm like, "Hey man, I'm teaching people about finances just like you do with me." And he goes, "Oh man, you're not allowed to talk about that stuff if you're not licensed." I'm like, "But I am licensed. I got a driver's license." And he's, "No man, you have to have some financial licenses to talk about that stuff." So naive about things.
Mhm.
But anyway, so he connected me to his brokers. Brokers like, "Well, these are licenses that you need to be able to talk about that stuff. Why do you want to get licensed?" And when I told him that I had like hundreds of Hispanics that wanted my help with their finances, he's like, "Oh man, well, we don't have anybody to work with the Hispanic community. We'll give you an opportunity to be able to partner up with us." So blessed this huge opportunity to be able to become a broker and partner
Mhm.
up with these guys. Started part-time, so I studied, got licensed, and continued to work full-time ministry and doing this part-time. It just got so busy that the tables turned where now I do this more of my time and still work ministry.
Mhm.
But my wife was joking around with me the other day. She's like, "I don't know how you keep all this stuff in your head. Like, how do you keep track of all this stuff?" I'm like, "I don't keep it in my head. I
Yeah.
write it all
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
notes." Yeah. So they grew now over the years, and primarily all through word of mouth. Sat down, helped north of about 5,000 families with their finances.
That's incredible.
So been able to help a lot of people. But there's like an hour radius of Jacksonville. There's 1.7 million people now.
Mhm.
It's
When I came to
growing
the States, it's like
crazy.
maybe 800,000
Oh
20
yeah.
years ago. And it's more than doubled. It's crazy
It's
how
insane.
much Jacksonville has grown.
Yeah.
So still a lot of need. Because I was working with a bunch of different churches, a lot of the pastors are like, "Hey, why don't you come teach these things at the church?" So that's where the Good Steward workshops started. As I just started, like, I brought a bunch of stuff from different places like Crown Financial, and got some stuff like from the actual world of finance, and kind of put it all together where it wasn't just like basic information, but it was like real good applicable information.
Yeah.
Sure.
A little more in depth.
Yeah, a little bit more in depth. So we started doing that, and one pastor would tell another pastor, and it just kind of just spread like wildfire now too. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of workshops all over the country now too. Last year at the end of November, I ended up doing one up in Chicago. So it finally went back to where it all started. So yeah, so I've done hundreds of workshops over the years, and the churches, a lot of people that would go to these different churches would sometimes would work at different places, and they're like, why don't you come do it at our workplace? Or and eventually the city of Jacksonville called me up and invited me out to do workshops for the city. So now it hasn't just been churches, but like I've been on all 3 military bases, all 26 Jacksonville public libraries, schools, all the universities, just been doing it all over the place, going out there and teaching
Mhm.
as much as we can. And the reason I've been invited out to all these different places because it's always been just education, no goofy sales pitch. That's one thing that bugged me a lot. I don't want to go to learn something, and all it was just some sales thing. Hated that.
We've been to a bunch of those.
Oh, yeah.
So annoying.
Especially in the Christian space, you wouldn't expect it. But yeah,
Yeah.
you want to give something to somebody not expecting anything in return. Yeah.
So I went into a bunch of things too, just trying to learn, and I hated that stuff, man. So I was like, I just want to focus on education. So we focus just on educating people, showing people how money really works, how the markets work, all this stuff, so that they can go do it on their own,
Yeah.
regardless of what company or product or service or whatever they go with.
Hmm.
And I've been doing this long enough now that I know that a lot of companies have disappeared, especially like during 2008 market crash, man. So many different financial firms just shut down. So I definitely saw that it doesn't matter what company you kind of go with, as long as if you know the truth of how things really work, then you can make good informed decisions on that side of things. So that's why we've done it. And that's why we're in everywhere, is because we never talk about companies, products, services, nothing like that. So yeah, so that's what we've been doing, and we're continuing to do that. And we continue to focus on helping thousands of families with their finances every year. We built a whole team behind this, trying to go out there and make a bigger impact and expand on that side of things. So that's kind of where we're at. But I've always still been very involved with ministry. So started in ministry, kind of fell into finances, fell into the world of business. In the beginning, I struggled with it too, because I thought my whole calling was I'm supposed to be in ministry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, why is God taking me down this business route, right?
Yeah.
And, I grew up poor compared to American standards, but poor compared to Colombian standards. And I didn't grow up poor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's levels, right?
Sure,
There's a
sure.
difference between you not having food that night compared to, people here, poor people here have cell phones. So fell into the world of business, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And I struggled personally with, accumulating wealth, because I was making a lot of money. There's a lot of money to be made, especially in the financial world, because
Yes.
that's where all the money's at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So making a lot of money, and our mindset was, well, what can we do with this to bless others?
Yeah.
Because my wife and I we'd sit down, and because I was helping people with their finances, and my wife asked, it was 2 years later, she's like, how much money have you made? I'm like, man, I've got no idea. It's all in a business account. This is before like internet
Sure.
banking and stuff. So we drive up to the bank, and we had like 60 some odd $1,000 in the account. I thought we were driving up there, and I'm thinking, I've helped 400 some odd people at this point. If they paid me $10 per referral to connect to whatever these companies were, we should have at least $4,000.
Yeah. At
So
least.
seeing that amount of money was like crazy. And immediately we go home, and we're like, so what are we going to do with this? And immediately both of us, we were on the same page. We're like, well, this isn't our money. This is God's money. If it was our money, he would have been paying us. But God obviously has some plans for this. So we're like, okay, well, what can we do to be wise with this? Like, if he has entrusted us with this money, what do we need to do? So we invested the majority of it, and we started dreaming of how can we impact people.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things we're like, well, let's pay all of our family members' debt off. Her aunts and uncles down in Colombia were like, let's pay all their debts off, give them freedom. And then I thought, nah, man, those people go back into debt. Just bad spending behavior. So
Sure.
people fix that first. And so like, well, what level of impact can we make if we paid for all of her cousins' colleges? Because obviously, as the uncles and aunts, what do you want the most for your kids? The best for them.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the resources, well, so we started doing that, and that opened the doors for us to be able to start sharing the gospel and Jesus with her family, because they were very Roman Catholic. But yeah, so it just opened doors. So we started really learning how to be really, really good stewards of money. I guess it was the mindset was, this isn't our money. So from the beginning, it's never really been our money. We did it the right way, because we could been blessed to be able to be surrounded by some amazing mentors. So they taught us things like trusts and stuff like that. So we've always set it up pretty properly. Like, I might have like, I don't know, $2,000 in my name.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
have nothing on paper.
Yeah.
I'm super poor.
Right.
Got no money. Everything's set up properly. Yeah, so we've been able to do a lot of cool things over the years because of that mindset of God blessed us. We came to the States looking for that.
Yeah.
We came super hungry, super hungry.
Yeah.
I always tell people that there's 3 W's that I had outside of my last name, right? One was we wanted it. Like had tremendous amount of desire. So we wanted it. We were very willing to do whatever it took, as long as, moral and ethically, legally done properly. But we were willing to, put in the work. So we wanted it. We were willing to do it. And we worked super hard. From there, I've always thought, okay, this is our money. This is God's money, whatever he wants. And because of that, we keep giving money and he keeps blessing us. So
Yeah.
there's a saying that you can't outgive God.
Yeah.
It's so true. So, because of that, I've also been surrounded with a lot of business people that love Jesus,
Yeah.
love the Lord, and I've been able to see what my heart's been at a much greater level, much grander level. I've been surrounded by people worth, $40 million, $50 million, $100 million or more. And these people is the same thing. Like they from day one, they're very focused on helping others and serving God through their business. And God just blessed them with a crazy abundance.
Yeah.
But then they've always used that abundance to continue to help others.
Yeah.
I've never sat down with these people and thought, man, these people are hoarders. No, like they give so much.
It's never about them.
It's never
Yeah.
about them. And they've got that same mentality, like, okay, well, I'm not going to heaven with this stuff, so might as well put it to work here. But you do it wisely, because you could outgive yourself and give everything
Right.
away and then end up with nothing and have to start over.
Yeah.
But that's where things like trusts and investments and like things like mutual funds or index funds or ETF, that kind of stuff, where you invest it, where now it's an infinite source of giving kind of thing. And I've been able to see that at the crazy levels. And then through that, been able to channel a lot of that stuff towards like the Band of Brothers and the sports ministries and things like that. So, anyway, so coming back to my dad's sports ministry, my dad, as a missionary, he was a professor for a seminary. So I grew up on a seminary in a ghetto, but on a seminary. And what my dad would do is he'd create like this outreach to the community where he'd, get a bunch of the guys from the neighborhoods and say, hey, Sunday afternoon, let's come play soccer. My dad welded like these little soccer goals, like little 3x3 goals. So we'd play what we call micro football, so small football. He'd just play soccer Sunday afternoons with these guys in the neighborhood. And at the end, it'd be like, hey, if you guys want to hang out, I'm going to do a little Bible stuff. You guys want to learn more about the Bible. And that's kind of how it got started, where it was just a neighborhood pickup soccer. And then it turned into a little Bible study. And little bit at a time, some of these guys started saying, hey, I want to learn more. They started asking questions and questions and questions. And they'd ask my dad to borrow Bible. Like one of the first guys, the guy that I was telling you guys, Pilo, he was like, Don Marcos, right? My dad's Mark, his name's Mark, and they'd call him Don Marcos. Don is like a sign of respect to like Don Marcos. So I would say, Don Marcos, can I borrow your Bible for this week? And my dad jokingly would be like, well, I'll loan you my Bible if you give me your gun. And it's crazy. These guys would actually give them their guns. So my dad, like a week later, Pilo came back with the Bible. And he goes, here's the Bible. And my dad's like, I gave that gun to the police. Like, you're not getting that gun back. It's like, and he'd be like, that's okay. I got more. But so my dad was like, well, I've got more Bibles. You can keep that one. And that's kind of how it all started. And then Pilo would be walking around the neighborhood with a Bible, and people were looking at him like crazy, because Pilo was part of the cartels. He was a scary dude, scary dude, very respected in the whole world of cartels as a very capable person. And he'd be walking around with Bibles, and people were like, what's up with this? What is he carrying around?
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys would go up to him, and he would be like, well, this is a really important book, but I'll share it with you if you come play soccer with me. So he just started bringing these younger guys and, teenagers, 15, 16 years old. And these are kids that were also in the cartels. Like some of these guys were sicarios at the age of 15 and 16, people that would go out and place hits on people at that age. So it's just crazy, the world that we were in. But they would come and start playing soccer, and they'd do their Bible study and had so many questions. And eventually they'd start giving their lives to the Lord and stop doing what they were doing, which had consequences.
Yeah.
Because you can't just get out of that world. But it grew to a point where they would start like playing every day. And they'd just do like drills and stuff like that and do Bible studies. And it got to a point where they're like, well, let's form a team and let's go play against other neighborhoods. Like we'll go talk to our neighboring neighborhood and see if they want to get together a group of guys, and we'll play them. And after that game, we'll do a little Bible study with them.
Wow.
So that's it started to grow from one neighborhood to another. And then eventually we started getting into like the really bad neighborhoods. Like one of the neighborhoods was called Acevedo, which they used to call El Botadero, which means the dumpster. Because in the valley of Medellin, the neighborhood that was on top of Acevedo, Santo Domingo, is where all the sicarios, all the hitmen for the cartel used to live. So these guys, when they'd place a hit or kill somebody, they would dump them in this neighborhood before going home.
Yeah.
That's why they used to call it the dumpster. So they started going out there to those neighborhoods and playing. I remember the first game that we played at Acevedo, well, our neighborhoods team, Wilson Rojas, who now he's part of our sports ministry. He's our chaplain for the sports ministry. He was a teenager back then, but he scored the first goal, and the goalie for that neighborhood stabbed him for scoring this goal. So it was crazy.
That's insane.
And then Pilo and my dad convinced Wilson to forgive the guy publicly, and the neighborhood was like, that's unheard of.
Yeah, that would have been so countercultural.
So yeah, completely counterculture. So like, well, why are you forgiving this guy? And then he had that opportunity to be able to share. Well, it's because through Jesus, I've been forgiven. Let me share about Jesus. And it opened up the doors to all those neighborhoods. So there were neighborhoods that police wouldn't even go into. I remember there was this one night that some police officers came to our house and asked my dad if he could go into one of the neighborhoods, because apparently the police and some of these guys from the cartels got into a fight, ended up in like some stalemate in one of these neighborhoods where the police couldn't go any further, but they needed to get some guy that was doing something. But like these people in the cartels, they flipped the bus and lit it on fire, so you couldn't get any kind of cars through or anything like that. So the city police chief ended up asking my dad to go in because they needed someone to negotiate, and the only people that they would talk to was my dad.
So he had that
crazy.
Yeah.
He was the good middleman.
He was. So because a lot of these guys in the cartels, they saw my dad as, he's the good guy that's trying to help our kids get to know God better.
Right. He's helping the community.
So it's crazy. Like my dad was able to go into all these different places and it's crazy to think, because man, if it was up to me right now, if I were to take my family, my daughter down to Medellin during that time, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that level of faith like my dad did at that time. I don't know if it was faith or he's just crazy, but
maybe a little bit of it. Yeah.
But just the Holy Spirit would use some very dangerous, some very bad people to give my dad favor, and it just opened up the whole city. And now over the years, I mean, I could spend months telling stories, man, of all the craziness and the stuff. But if we fast forward to today now, the sports ministry, it's grown into 23 different parts of the country. And we're actually in Peru now too. We got about 5,000 kids that participate in the program, just under 5,000 kids that are part of some team that one of our coaches will do a Bible study with. And now we run our own leagues and everything like that. We participate in the country's leagues as well, all the way up to semi-pro.
Wow.
So got a lot of kids in the program. Our U17 or under 17, so the 16-year-olds, placed first in the whole country last year.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And our striker got the golden boot.
Wow.
For the La Liga Antioqueña. So we got some good players.
Yeah.
We got some good players.
And you said you guys play year round too. Like it's not just a seasonal thing. You're playing all the time.
Yeah. December it shuts down, but it's year round. Like in a couple of weeks, they're going to be doing the inauguration to start the league again. Okay. Our league, not the country's leagues, but our own leagues that we run. And just in the city of Medellin, we've got 120 teams in our league.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Then multiply that times, 20 kids.
Oh, yeah.
Just in our league. That doesn't count like the different neighborhoods and stuff like that. And we've got kids from age maybe 4 or 5 all the way up to 18, 19, 20. We've had a couple kids go out pro. We've had a couple kids come to the States because they got scholarships to be able to go to college here and things like that. So.
What did your involvement in the sports ministry look like when you were there or starting off when you were first over in the States? Was it just always hands-on, helping however you could, or what did that look like for you?
So when I first came to the States, man, I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
I was not involved. I was working ministry and I was still doing stuff here and there. And I'd do like help with short-term mission trips down there, but I
Mhm.
wasn't involved at all.
Sure.
I'd go visit every once in a while, but wasn't hands-on, didn't do anything,
Mhm.
just because didn't have the means to.
Yeah.
My wife and I we'd be able to go back to Colombia like once every 3 or 4 years, just because we didn't have the money until we started doing really well with the business side of things. And then it
Mhm.
just got to the point where we started going every year. And that's when
Yeah.
I'd start helping, like, okay, let's get a church and get a small group of people and let's do a little short-term mission trip down to Colombia and let's have them
Yeah.
go check out the sports ministry
Yeah.
and things like that. But I got really involved a couple years ago, or maybe 2, 3 years ago, when my dad started hounding me on the fact that he's about to retire. My dad's 72.
Oh, he's
About to
young.
retire.
And he's very youthful. Even though he's
Mhm.
72, he probably seems like he's maybe 58 to 60. Like he still walks. He plays soccer every week. He walks 3 miles a day. He's the most disciplined person I've ever met. I've never seen someone with more discipline than him. And he's been like, he wakes up at like 4:30 in the morning and does an hour and a half Bible study every day, no days off,
Wow.
ever. At least since I've been alive, so 40 some odd years. So
Yeah, that's something that I've really been noticing recently is the power of discipline and how important that is because you look at the amount of years you have in your life. And if you just focus on discipline and doing the things that really matter and you do those every day, the compound interest, something that you would know a lot about, like over time is crazy. If you consistently do the same things over and over again and have the discipline to do that, like your life will completely be different.
just waking up early and doing a Bible study as the first thing you do,
Yeah.
it's crazy how life changes with just that one small thing in
Oh,
the
yeah.
morning.
Something I heard you say, and I want to dig a little bit deeper into, is how when you and your wife went to the bank and you saw the money in there, you guys were both instantaneously on the same page. Like, how can we give this back? Like, this isn't our money.
Mhm.
How we steward it? It's God's money that we were blessed with to handle. Why do you think you guys had that same relationship? You're on the same page. You think it is back to your upbringing? Is that something you guys talked about a lot?
So I grew up obviously in as a Christian.
Yeah.
My wife became a Christian when she was maybe 15, 16. And we'd been dating since 16. So we've been together forever, man.
Mm.
Yeah.
We grew up with each other. That's funny because my wife says all my bad habits, like you treat me like a queen and this and that, like you don't let me carry nothing. That's your fault. 'Cause you helped raise me. My mother-in-law says that too. She's like, man, that's your problem because she's been with you longer than she was with me.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been together for a long time. But she's a Christian too, and when we came to States, our mindset was that from the beginning was
Yeah.
our life is in your hands. Like we knew from day one that whatever we were going to be doing here in the States, that our life was in God's hands.
Full
Uh,
surrender.
yeah, full surrender from the beginning. That's how we wanted to live our life.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't know that we were going to succeed at the way we have,
Sure.
but we knew that we were going to get ahead because our mindset was, well, God is bringing us here for a reason, and this is the land of abundance. So why else would he put us here of all places? So
Yeah.
we knew we were going to thrive. So we knew that with this abundance, we were going to be using it for what he wanted us to do.
Yeah.
We just didn't know how. Like the details don't always come right away. The general direction is easy to see, but the details come as you go.
Was that a hard moment at all whenever you had to make that decision? I'm sure it became reality when you saw that money and you were just like, man, like, wow, that's a lot. Was it hard at all? Or was it just like you were both on the same page? Like, this is what we're going to do?
We knew that we were going to invest the majority of it. We
Yeah.
did take some out
Sure.
because,
Sure.
we were living on PB&Js and ramen noodles.
Dude, that's a life right there, man.
I was working.
Come on.
I was working ministry, and she was working at a daycare. We were
Yeah.
making no money. I think she was getting paid like $6 an hour. I was getting paid like $7 an hour. People nowadays make minimum wages more than what we were making combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it took us, I think it was like almost 6 months, like 5 months of saving and trying to save just a little bit at a time so that we could go out to TGI Fridays. Like the first time we went
That's
to
funny.
TGI Fridays, man, we felt like it was like Ruth Chris or something. This is amazing. Like, wow.
What a reward.
Yeah. Like the best place we had been was before that was like Taco Bell.
Man.
So I love Taco Bell still.
Oh,
Like one of the first thoughts that I had also was, man, it's crazy that like we've been struggling eating ramen noodles and we had all this money here the whole time.
Yeah.
But we're like, okay, though there's a reason why we weren't supposed to know about it, and it's
Yeah.
probably because we would have blown it.
Right.
Yeah.
Your heart posture wasn't, and your mindset
Right.
wouldn't have been ready
Right.
for it.
And I don't think that like God took me through a certain journey to get me to become mature. I think it
Sure.
was just that instant realizing that I didn't give this to you until now is because you needed to be mature. I didn't mature during that time frame.
Right.
But that instant is what made me gain that maturity. So yeah, we invested that. We invested at the end of 2007, going into 2008. So massive market crash.
Yeah. Huge.
And that year I got securities licensed, which is an investment, all the investment licenses. So I'd studied the market, learned how the market works. So what really kind of kicked us was we invested that money. And then the next 3 years, all the money that I was making, I continued to save it because we're like, well, let's just save it. Let's continue to live the way we are. We still hadn't even bought a TV. But I was like, well, okay, we'll go out every once in a while. Like we'll go out at least once a month kind of thing. But I invested that money for the next 3 years. So from 2007 to 2010, so 08, 09, and 2010, I probably put in another like maybe 60,000 or something. So in total, we had saved over 100 grand in those first 5 years. So the first 2 years not knowing, the next 2 years consciously doing it.
Sure.
But at the end of 2010, we had like 340,000.
Wow.
I was 26 years old at that point. Because at that point, we felt like we made it. Like we achieved financial freedom, which 300,000 is not no financial freedom.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
But
No,
you have
yeah.
a good buffer.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so for someone like where we came from, that felt like we were done. That was just crazy.
And at that point, did you guys have any debt, or this whole time were you living
no,
debt
no
free? Is
debt.
that something you always?
We've never had debt.
Yeah.
Could never afford debt.
Yeah.
Like no one would even give us credit. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point, a couple years later, we ended up like buying a condo cash and things like that.
Yeah.
So I never really had any debt on that side of things.
I want to kind of go back and talk about the multimillionaire that you met, the mentor. Through that whole process of meeting him and through the process of him mentoring you, how has that mentorship shaped your mindset on mentorship, just the importance of it, the takeaways that you've gotten from it? What does that look like for two young guys like us? How should we view mentorship from what you've learned from that?
It's everything. Like, if it wasn't for, and it wasn't just him, he was like the catalyst. He taught me some really cool financial concepts. Also learned from him that it's all about relationships. It's about breaking bread with people. So some cool financial concepts and all about relationship side of things. That's what I learned from him the most. When he connected me to the broker, Mike, who's still very, very close friend of mine, number one mentor that I've got. He's the one that taught me to think a lot bigger. He's the one that taught me about leadership.
Yeah.
The very first book he gave me was Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And then that led me down that rabbit hole of reading books on leadership and things like that. So Mike is the one that probably developed me the most with, people skills, understanding business. Just about everything I've learned about business has mainly come from him.
Yeah. So just so people know, like you have no educational background in finance, business, anything, right? It's all
So
just.
I'm the black sheep of the family. So my whole family is super educated. My parents are both PhDs. Both my siblings are double majored. My wife is double majored. I did 3 semesters in college. College is not for me. I loved it when I ended up reading this book about, self-improvement and stuff like that. And it talked about there's 2 levels of education. There's classical formal education, which is like the traditional route of college and so forth. And there's self-education where it's people that just read on their own and want to learn something and they educate themselves on that. I'm 100% that dude. I read, 30, 40 books a year. My brother, when he graduated college, took him, a little bit longer because he double majored and everything. Years later had gone by and I'm like, so how many books you read? And he's like, books? What do you mean? I haven't read a book since college. I'm like, oh my God. How are you not reading books? How are you not growing? So I got him into the habit of, self-studying and growing. So I've always been self-educated. I've got a lot of education. I know a lot of stuff, but like, I'm not going to go pay a college for something. I'll go clip a class, right?
Sure.
I'll pay for the materials. I'll study it on my own. Then I'll go take the tests.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit. I've got ADHD. I struggle terribly with listening. I'm a self-education kind of guy, 100%. It's not that I don't believe in education. Like, I've paid for 8 people's colleges over the years. So I believe in formal education for certain things like engineering, medicine, law. There's I think there's certain careers that definitely need to have an college education. But
it's like depending on your goals, that only takes you so far.
Yeah. Like one of the people that we were going to pay for their college, they're like, oh, we want to study business. I'm like, I'm not going to pay for you to go to college to learn from an employee, because a college professor, he's a teacher. He's an employee.
Never had a business.
Never had a business. You're not going to learn nothing from that dude. You might as well just buy all the books from each semester, study it all on your own, and then go fail. Or go work for a business owner in the business that you want to get into, work for him a couple years, learn the business, and then you start your own. That's how you get into real business. 100% self-education. And I think that's the best way of doing it too. If you're not reading it.
I think a lot of people view their education as a limited thing. They're like, oh, my 20s, that's like your year of education. Like, we'll go to school, go to college, learn all the things, then they quit. And it's the same deal with like the discipline and the compounding interest effect. If you're not continually learning along the way, eventually the people are going to far outpace you, the people that are actually putting the work in and continuing to grow in their knowledge and education. And I think that's the biggest thing. Is it's outside of college, school, everything. It's just continually having the mentality of, I'm going to learn from every conversation I have, whether that's listening to podcasts, whether that's reading books, whether that's just talking to people that are in the same field as you are. Like, there's so many opportunities to learn all around us. You just got to be in that mentality and state to want to learn and grow.
You gotta be hungry for it.
You do
have that hunger. And so Mike was, and still is, probably my number one mentor. He's the one that helped me grow in business and leadership and in team building and people skills and all these different things. And then another mentor that I've got, his name's Chris, extremely successful as well, very, very wealthy dude as well. He's the one that helped me start to connect the dots between wealth, business, and the world of ministry. He's the first guy that I saw use his wealth to further the kingdom on a big scale. Like, I've seen successful business people like help a missionary, or if there's a missionary project. I love when some guys are able to cut like a $10,000 check. Like, I'd seen
like a
that
one-off
before.
thing.
Yeah, like I'd seen that before. Be able to, a guy that's so well off that he can create a whole ministry by itself. Or expand a ministry worldwide, kind of thing. His level of thinking is just on another level as well. And same thing, his whole mindset is he's a Christian first, a businessman second. So Chris has been my mentor, closest friend right now. Also mentor in business. He's helped me grow in business, get me to the next level. Mentally, like just increasing my belief level, but then showed me how to be a better father, how to be a better husband. He's the one that got me involved with Band of Brothers. He's the one that provided so that we could expand Band of Brothers worldwide. And then I've also been surrounded by a lot of other mentors that have helped me with, things here, there, here and there. So being able to be surrounded by people that are living how you want to live. Not a lot of times people say, well, you try and get a mentor that has what you want. That's not always the case, because they might have what you want, but they're not living the way you want.
Exactly. I know a lot of people like that, where they may have one area of their life mastered. Like, they may be great at business, super successful, ultra wealthy, but their families are falling apart. They know nothing about, ministry. So I want to look at somebody's like, okay, I feel like they have a very well-rounded life, where they're well balanced. They have a family that they're loving, supporting, and they also have a business that's successful and thriving.
Their
There's not a lot of
priorities are
people
set straight.
that have all of those together.
It's crazy, because when you start wanting that, and when you start praying for that, that's what God starts surrounding you with. Because I started seeing all these very successful business people, but then when I started looking for, I want success in all these different areas, then all of a sudden now I'm surrounded with all these guys, and it's crazy. It's crazy to see how many of them. It seems like it's unlimited. the amount of people that are out there that we just don't know about, but they're living it. They're living it every day. They're super successful, but then using that for the kingdom.
Yeah.
Had a conversation with a guy. His name's Assad Faraj. He's originally from the Middle East, but he's here in the States and very successful in business as well. And he's going to be actually in Colombia preaching for like a week for pastors all over the country and things like that. A friend that we got in common, also a mentor of mine, his name's Eric, Oklahoma. He connected us because, I've got all the connections in the world down in Colombia. Like I know everything. I know people in the ghetto and I know people in courts and I know people in ministry. So we connected. So I told him, look, man, if there's anything you need while you're down there, like I know anything and everybody that you might need, anything. So that's pretty cool how God kind of connects the dots. I don't even know where Assad's from. He's like from Pennsylvania or something like that. I don't know where he's from.
Well, you got to think as Christians, we have the advantage that we have as Christian business owners is obviously our partnership with God. He is the person and He is the why for us that is driving it so much further than what we could do on our own. And that's kind of the idea that we want with this podcast. And just we are trying to really hammer that into ourselves right now as young entrepreneurs is it is God and only God. And it's like you said about, 5 minutes ago, you said, I'm a Christian first and then a business person or a husband second. That is what drives you. That's what keeps your heart posture and everything aligned.
The Coggin School of Business at UNF invited me out to go speak. I ended up going out there and speaking for them. And in the Q&A part, they said, well, one of the questions was how important it is for you to choose the right partners. And I said, well, you have to make sure that you have the right first partner. And they said, well, how do you find that right first partner? I said, well, my first partner is God. And a lot of people was like, what in the heck is he talking about? But it's crazy because I've always thought because I've got an hour relationship with God for like everything. But I treat him like a business partner. Like you guys are partners. Well, that's how I see God. Like, I'm like, okay, bro, I'm doing my part. You better do your part. And you can challenge him like that. Have openly, heartedly conversations with God and tell him, hey, I'm doing my part. And he'll always do his part. But you can call him out like, hey, I've been obedient. I've done my part. So you need to show me. And it's even with small things, like my small things in my business, right?
Sure.
I'll give you guys an example. Like my mindset is God has people out there that He wants me to help with their finances. But it's my job to connect to them. So He's the one that gets me the clients, but it's my job to take the initiative to actually reach out to people. So my mindset is every person that I talk to is because He wanted me to go talk to them. So whether it's me actually through a referral connecting and visiting someone at their home or through Zoom, or me randomly meeting someone at like Walmart.
Yeah.
It's always been like, okay, well, God puts these people in my path. It's my job to take that initiative. So
there's purpose behind every relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to do my part. So I have to be very clear with what my part is. And I know that my part is I have to be the greeter. I have to be the first person to greet people. My dad, since I was a kid, he always said, leaders greet people first. So if someone says hi to you before you say hi to them, then you weren't the leader in that conversation. And then small things like you always use people's names and so on and so on. So all these things. So my job is God's going to put someone just randomly walking in Walmart across my path. As I'm walking in, they're walking across. And my job in that, in what God's trying to do is to say, hey, how you doing? And smile at them.
Yeah.
And if we can, let's have a conversation. See where God leads that. And it's led in some really like from one side to the other. Like I've had conversations where it led to, they were telling me that they had completely lost hope, that they didn't feel like anybody, like no human would even see them. And they had been contemplating suicide. And that because I stopped and greeted them and smiled at them and wanted to see how they were doing and what's going on with their complete stranger. Well, God had a plan with that. But what's my job? To greet people, smile, say hello. Have that first contact. And then from there, it's His job.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, are you worried? No, I'm not worried. Like being, let's say a 1099 or being in sales, it's 100% based on me. Never worried about it.
Yeah.
Because I know that part's not my job. If He doesn't provide for me to pay my bills, that's on Him, not on me.
Right.
I'll go do my part and go talk to people.
Yeah.
But hey, He's the business partner. He's got to do his part.
I think a lot of that stems from the idea of being a servant leader and always just loving people like Jesus loves people. Like Jesus was the ultimate example when He was here walking the earth. he
Yep.
talked to everybody. Pharisees, he talked to the lowest of the low. It didn't matter what social class, what ethnicity you were. He crossed so many barriers
He did.
and just met people where they were. And if that's not a perfect example of what we're called to do, I don't know what is. And so
Mhm.
exactly like you said, everywhere you go, everything that you do, always go into things with the mindset of how can I love people like Jesus loves people, and how can I go about with that mentality?
I texted you a picture of the books, right?
Mm.
So one of my favorite books in that is Influencing Like Jesus. I can't remember the author's name, but that's one of my favorite books.
Mm.
Talks about how when he was here, how he influenced. A really good book.
Mm.
Influencing Like Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I also like the idea you're just talking about how freeing it is for you to not have to worry about clients being sent your way. All you have to do is focus on your end. I just love that idea because that is what stewardship is. We shouldn't have to rely. It should be a freeing practice for us in our businesses and our organizations that we're running because it's not ours anyways. The resources and everything that we have is not ours. So that alone should be freeing enough to know that, oh, I'm just stewarding what God has given me. It's not, there should be no stress on it because I'm just doing what God has called me to do and I just obey that. So I feel like that models perfectly what that is because that is how it should be. And I feel like too many times we overcomplicate the most simple things, that where it's really just as simple as giving it to God and letting Him lead you instead of you trying to outrun yourself and outrun God in the situation. So,
But it is 100% a partnership, and
mhm,
he'll always provide,
Mhm.
but you still have to do your part.
You do.
right.
It's a partnership. Rarely, almost never will you see in the Bible God doing something without using somebody,
Yeah, there's
right?
always some sort of human action.
And I always tell people, look, God's always going to provide, right? Just like He provided the manna when they were in the desert. They didn't walk out in the desert, just open their mouths open. He didn't throw like some fried chicken in their mouth right away. Like they still had to go out and get it, pluck
Yeah.
it, cook it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you still have to do. So He's not just going to randomly provide if you're not doing your part.
Yeah, a lot of it's faith. Like
Yeah.
he's calling us to do this certain action. He's like, if you're faithful and you trust me in this, then I'm going to come through on my end of the bargain. But you got to trust me. You got to
Mhm.
have faith.
And sometimes that's hard.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's crazy what He asks.
Yeah.
But hey, let's give it a shot.
Let's do it.
Let's try it.
You can do it. You just have to step out in faith and say yes.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to ask you, what does the idea of Kingdom ROI mean to you? What is that term? First thing comes to your head. What does that look like for you right now in your season of life?
Right. When you invest into something, you expect a return. No one invests into something without expecting a return, right? So what's kingdom return? Well, we're not going to get anything out of it,
Yeah.
Mhm,
but we do it because He's getting everything out of it.
Yeah.
mhm.
Being able to thrive in business, to then be able to use that to, let's say, rescue lives, rescue souls
Sure.
across the globe.
Yeah.
I think that's what Kingdom ROI means: is thrive here so that uh, we can get more souls into heaven,
Right.
get more people to know about Jesus. So I teach a lot on finance, but I do it a lot in with biblical context. I think I mentioned this to you guys last time. Everybody loves Jeremiah 29:11, right?
Yeah.
Mhm,
That He's got a hope and a future for us. But the flip side of that coin is Galatians 5:13. Galatians 5:13 is one of my favorite Bible verses. And it says that we're called to be free, not to indulge in the flesh, but to be able to serve others out of Christ's love. And the context of what Paul's talking about is, okay, well, through Jesus Christ's sacrifice and being risen from the dead and ascending is so that our sins can be forgiven. So if we're forgiven of our sins, it doesn't necessarily mean that now we can continue to go sin,
Yeah.
mhm.
right? But if we're forgiven from our sins, not so that we can continue to sin, it's so that because now we're free, now we can go serve others out of that same love that gave us that freedom. We need to share that same love with others so that they can have freedom as well. It applies to finances too. So we're called to be financially free, not to indulge in the flesh,
Yep.
but so that we can use that financial freedom
Mhm.
to be able to love on others or share Christ's love with others.
It gives
Yeah.
us capacity to do that.
Yeah, even the Bible talks about, the borrower is slave to the lender. So there's a lot of people that are just strapped with debt and they can't do anything but go to work. Like they have no other freedom other than getting up, go to work, pay bills. It's just a repeat cycle
Yep.
over and over and over again. And I love the quote that's sometimes the devil doesn't have to destroy us. He just has to distract us. and he distracts a lot of people through a lot of different things. And it's
The
so easy to just get in that mindset.
the number one reason why most people don't properly tithe
Hmm.
is because they've got too much money going towards debt payments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've sat down with thousands of people and I've seen that when I'm able to help them put a plan together, let's say like through debt stacking or something
Sure.
like that, we're able to get them out of debt, they immediately start tithing properly. So it wasn't that it wasn't in their heart. It just wasn't in their mind. They weren't being good stewards. So the second they became good stewards, then they were able to tithe properly and reflect the way that they're supposed to with their finances. Number one reason, I've gone through so many churches, thousands of people. Number one reason why people don't tithe is because they feel like they don't have enough money to be able to tithe. And why is that? Because their money is tied up
Mhm.
on debt payments. So you got to get people out of debt. And
Yeah.
there's good debt and bad debt. The majority
Sure
of people
is.
are with debt, bad debt.
Sure.
Most people are.
Yeah.
Right? Good debt
Instant
creates cash
gratification.
flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your view on debt as a business owner now? I know you said previously you were no debt. How would you view it now?
So good debt, bad debt, right? Good debt puts assets in your pocket. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. So same thing with assets and liabilities. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket.
Right.
It doesn't matter how you get money into your pocket as long as it's going into your pocket. So if you can use
Sure.
leverage, because
Yeah.
that's what debt is, leverage to be able to create cash flow, then that's good. Absolutely.
Exactly. An example of this is, so I run an equipment rental business is one of my things I do. And so I'll go buy machines at 0% interest and then I'll rent them out. So that's the idea of like you're leveraging the resources you have and using debt in a good way.
I think everybody in the world now has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Talk about,
For sure.
leveraging through real estate.
Yep.
And that's a super easy example, right? If like a lot of people think that their house is an asset. It's not. If you're living in it, it's not. If you're renting it out, it is, right? If you're either a short-term lease or long-term lease through things like Airbnb or whatever, if it's cash flowing, then it's an asset.
Yep.
Or if it's cash flowing, then it's good debt.
Right.
But bad debt is a mortgage that you're paying on out of your pocket.
Yeah.
It's costing
If
you.
it's coming out of your pocket, it's bad debt.
Yeah.
Credit cards, student loans, car loans, anything that's costing you money, that's not generating you money, that's bad debt.
Yep.
And you need to get rid of that as fast as possible. Even with like people ask me, what do you think about renting? I think renting's fine
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's where you're living. It's same thing as buying. The only difference is you might have equity in the house, but you will forever rent because even if you have the house paid off, you're still renting the land
Yeah.
from
Mhm.
thy government,
Mhm.
right? That'd be awesome if DeSantis can get that
Well, we're hoping he
property
does.
Hey.
tax, get rid of it.
Praying for that.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. That'd skyrocket prices in
If
Oh, yeah.
properties in Florida. Price is gonna go out the roof, but you're always gonna be renting, whether it's from the government or a landlord. You're always gonna be renting. So I've never seen a problem with renting, as long as you've got a place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if a strategy is you want to try and create equity through leverage, then sure, you get a mortgage,
Mhm.
but be wise with it. Right? It's better to rent out a property and make
Yeah.
money and get the equity and all that stuff. You're going to play that game, play that game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of people buy too much mortgage for what they can pay. Like they say, I can afford this. Well, you could afford this at what cost? I could afford this, but you can't do nothing else in life. Then
Yeah.
you can't afford it. If you can buy a house and afford it, but you can't tithe properly, then you can't afford that house.
Yep.
And is that just a lack of financial education thing?
It's,
Really?
it's crazy. Like when I started learning these financial concepts, basic things like rule of 72 and compounding interest and debt stacking and things like that, I'd ask people like, hey, have you ever heard of this? No. I'm like, but you're a gringo. How do you not know this? Like you've lived here your whole life and you don't know this?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'd probably say 95% of the population
Mhm.
just lacks financial education.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's just not part of the system. The system that governs right now, including the educational system, it's not part of what the system wants us to know.
On that note, for young people of like our generation, what are some of the top things that we can start doing now to start learning those, financial literacy and things that can help us set us up for success in the future?
Number one thing is a desire to want to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's a desire, you're going to go down rabbit holes.
Oh, for sure.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what rabbit hole you go down. Just keep going down rabbit holes and you're going to learn from all of it. So the desire to learn is going to be the number one asset you have when it comes to learning about finances, because that desire is what's going to drive it all. Like there's not a single book that you can read and say, oh, this is going to teach me everything about what I want to learn. You're going to have to read 40 or 50 books on one subject to get it.
Yeah.
And then once you understand that, you're going to realize that this is one part of a much bigger cog in a much bigger machine. So then you start reading all this other stuff, and then this other stuff, and this other stuff. So the desire to want to read about this stuff is going to be number one thing. I'm going to probably hurt some younger guys' feelings on this too, but reading a book of an actual book is the way to go, not known audiobooks. Because the audiobooks, for the majority of people, especially people like me, we stop listening and we zone out. We start thinking of other stuff.
Yep.
So even if you're listening to something, that means that it is now in your subconscious. But how far forward is it in your subconscious?
Right.
Because if it's way in the back, sure, it's there, but it's not going to be useful. So pausing your life and taking the time to read and breathing through the process and taking notes and highlighting and underlining, that is how you learn to apply.
You get so much more out of it. Yeah.
The problem is we're always in such a rush that we want to learn with this rush, but being able to stop for a second and actually study and read, that's how I read. I try the whole audiobook or the Kindle or stuff on like PDFs and nah, man, like, no, I have to have a book. Like I have to be able to smell it. So, and what's crazy is that like I've got two major ministries, both are working with thousands of people.
Yeah.
I got a business that helps thousands of people. I've got a family, but I still find the time to read 30, 40 some odd books a year.
It's all about what's important to you. What are you going to make time for?
Right. So there's 168 hours in a week. If you're a regular person, you'll sleep 50. If you're, an entrepreneur, you sleep between, 30 and 40. So what are you doing with all that time?
Yeah.
So just finding the right time. I was training our team. We got a group of financial advisors, and I was doing some training for them on Saturday. And one of them was telling me about all the stuff that he's got going on in his life. And he said, when am I going to find the time to be able to read? I said, what time do you wake up? He goes, I wake up early at 6. I'm like, bro, wake up at 5 and read for an hour.
Yeah.
But like, nah, you're not hungry enough. No, you're not, just not hungry. And if you don't have time during when the sun is out, there's still time when the sun's not out. And that's either before you work or after you work. I didn't buy a TV until 2020. So my first 15 years in the States, never even bought a TV. And I didn't even buy that TV. My brother bought it for me because he was visiting. He's like, there's nothing to do in this house. I'm like, bro, I'm like, bro, I've got a couple $1,000. Just grab them, brother. He goes, nah, man, I'm gonna go buy you a TV. I'm like, his joke is like, man, Luke says he's so rich and wealthy and he can't even afford a TV. But like, I don't watch TV. Everybody's like, hey, did you see this thing on Netflix? What's Netflix? Everyone's like, what's Netflix? I'm joking. I don't know what Netflix is. I don't watch TV. I don't watch shows. I don't watch movies. Every once in a while, if I'm going on like a date with my wife, we'll go watch a movie. But I don't watch TV. Most people don't watch TV in the old fashioned sense either nowadays, but they watch TV in what we would call watch TV.
In the form of scrolling.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
It's that time still replaced.
Yeah. There's zombies or doom scrolling or whatever it's called. Go grab a book. Reading is.
That's honestly one of the top questions I ask a lot of people. If somebody's seeking advice, what's the top book you're reading right now? And, either you'll get the answer of like, well, I don't really read. Or you'll get them like, well, I'm reading this book. It's on XYZ and I've learned this about it. And it's helped me. It's like, those are the people that you want to surround yourself with. The people that are constantly looking to grow and learn.
And I read all kinds of stuff too. I don't read a fiction. Like I don't read like fairy tales and that stuff. But I'll read anything that's factual. I'll definitely read. Like right now I'm reading Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh yeah.
I think I mentioned that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I don't know why I hadn't read this book before. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm in that world. I hadn't read his book.
There's so many books, you just can't read them all.
There's a lot of books out there.
Can't read them all. Gotta pick and choose. What would you say are like the top financial habits for a young person that they can start doing now that will start to compound over time?
One is work hard. You got to be a workhorse. You got to think of yourself like a Clydesdale. Most people, like I grew up with horses. I love horses. I got my daughter riding horses. You have to visualize yourself as a Clydesdale. If you don't see yourself as a Clydesdale, then you're not working. So work hard is the number one thing. No such thing as a 9-to-5. So I sit down with so many people. I say, well, you don't have a financial problem. Like you're managing your money well. You just don't make enough money. And they're like, well, what do I do? Get another job.
Work hard.
Get out there and look.
Get another job. I work 9 to 5. Okay, what do you do from 5 to 10?
Yeah.
There's another 5 hours you can work.
And it's easy. It's never been easier to make money. It's
Crazy.
pretty,
You can make money with anything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can ask AI how to make money, and you can ask it to figure it out how to make it for you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But so work hard is the number one thing, especially in the beginning, and work hard. Like a lot of people say, you got to work smart, not hard. No, you got to work hard too.
Yeah, you gotta do both.
Yeah. The guy that works really, really smart for 3 hours a day compared to the guy that works really, really hard and really, really smart for 10 hours a day is going to get ahead way faster. 10, 15 hours a day. You got plenty of time, especially if you're young. You got no responsibilities, nothing to really stress about. So working hard is the number one thing. 2 is saving as much as possible. And when I save I mean putting it into assets.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about putting it in the bank. I'm not talking about putting it under the mattress or in a
just
safe.
sitting there.
Yeah, you need to get that money to work.
Yeah.
Right? So things like mutual funds, index funds, anything like that, stocks, bonds, whatever. But put that money to work and save all of it. And obviously live way beneath your means. Like I said, we didn't even buy a TV till way late. We had already financially independent and all that stuff. So live way beneath your means, save as much as possible, because you can work and save what a normal person is going to take 30 or 40 years. You can do it in 10, maybe 15. But everybody that I've studied that has thrived like crazy in business or even in finance, they didn't really work but maybe 5 to 10 years. It's not a 30, 40 year thing anymore. It's work 16-hour days, 6 days a week for 5 years, and you'll be done in life. Especially if you're doing it smart, because it doesn't really require a lot, right? I've got a buddy, who I mentored his son with this whole process mentally and everything. And I said, look, if you're a workhorse and you're smart about it, then you'll be done. Start a little landscaping business, because his dad owned a landscaping business, started his own. And I told him, look, this is how you're smart with it. You get people to do the work for you.
Yep.
And you go out and do the sales side of things, and you're going to work 16 hours trying to find contracts. And then you get your buddies to do it with you. And then you hire some people to manage it all. And I think it was in 3 years, he got himself to a point where I think he had a crew of like 50 some odd people. He had his sister as his office manager, and he sold his business to True Green for like $3 million. It took him 3 years to build it. 2 years later, sold it. And he was like 28 years old, had like $3 million.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just because he built a business where it was functioning without him.
Sure.
And he worked so hard that he became competition to like these giant corporations, to a point where they wanted to buy him out.
Yeah.
That's working smart and working hard.
Okay.
And
You got to know how to do both. You got to be thinking future oriented.
Yeah.
A lot of people are so focused on the here and now, but they're not thinking about the future and how do you scale beyond yourself. There's so many businesses that never really do anything. They kind of hover at this, enough to make money to put in their pocket and to create a life that they think is good, but it kind of stays there. It hovers around that same range.
Yes. And that's why mentors are so important too, because they increase your level of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Like
And they challenge you too.
the first time we became financially independent, one of my mentors, Mike, he's like, man, I can't even pay my taxes with that money.
You're like, all right, Mike.
I was about to go celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's definitely levels, and so that you got to save. You just have to invest your money, because it might not always be that way either.
Yeah.
And it's not about you. Like financial independence, a lot of people think financial independence is about me, and I'm going to stop when I've made it. Well, once you get to a certain point with money and you realize that it's not about you, then you realize, okay, this financial independence has nothing to do with me.
I got to keep going. Yeah. It's way too
Like
self-centered.
I've had so many people ask me, if you've got this much, why are you still working? Well, it has nothing to do with me. Like, I might be able to retire, but what about the 100 coaches that we've got in our sports ministry? I'd love to be able to get to a point where they're financially independent.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they're not going to be able to make it, because that's not what they're working in. So if God put me in the place to be able to make the money, well, it's not about me.
Yeah.
So when I've asked people, how much is enough for you to say I'm done? And the answer should be never, because you're never done, because it's not about you.
Yep.
Ever. Like, I'd love it to get to a point where I've got enough wealth, just to give you guys an example, where I've got enough money where the interest on this money can fund the expansion of the sports ministry every single year in a different country.
Yep.
How much money that takes?
Yeah.
Well, daydreaming is one thing, but when you start putting it on paper and you start planning towards it, okay, it costs $750,000 to open a sports complex. Well, that means I would need $7.5 million for in a mutual fund or an index fund, if it's generating 10% interest per year or 12%, I take out 10% per year of 7.5 million would be 750,000. I could open a sports complex once a year with 7.5 million. Oh, now all of a sudden, okay, how can I get to 7.5 million? Well, 7.5 million is just one a year. There's 23 Latin American countries. So it's going to take me 20 years to do this? No, what if I double that? What if I get to 14 million or 20 million or something like that? And then I meet somebody that's worth 100 million and I'm like, dang. So it is possible. If he can make it, I can make it. Right? You look at these guys and like some of my mentors drive F-150s. Like they could drive whatever they want. And I've been in conversations where like I got made fun of because the amount of money I've got couldn't pay someone's taxes. But then someone else, I'm in a conversation with another group of guys and they're making fun of someone else because he doesn't have a plane. What?
Wow. Talk about peer pressure.
So there's definitely levels. So it's the same thing with levels when it comes to ministry. You don't create wealth for just yourself. You create your wealth because now you're trying to make a much bigger impact in the world because that's what God's asking you to do with what he's giving you.
Right.
So he's got unlimited resources. He just needs you to do your part to tap into that so that then you can steward it properly.
That's awesome. Well, we really appreciate this conversation and everything. I know we've learned so much. I'm sure it'll be super helpful for our listeners. What are some ways that they can get connected with you? Do you have a website, or how can they get connected with your
social media? I only use Instagram. I don't use anything else.
Nothing wrong with that.
Too old fashioned for that.
Hey, Facebook? Come on.
I don't even have Facebook. Facebook's for old people, right?
I know. That's what I was thinking.
I'm like, I should have a Facebook. I'm part of that generation. Instagram, Luke_Wittig, WITTIG. If someone wants to ask me questions or contact me, you can always contact me directly, either through social media or call me, text me, 904-525-7726.
Yeah.
If I don't answer, I might get back with you to leave me a message. Don't leave me a voicemail. I don't listen to voicemails. Just text me. If I don't answer, text me. Don't really do websites or anything like that. But social media, give me a call.
Okay.
Everything I've done through word of mouth, so I just continue to do that. Do things that way. Sports ministry, cosdecol.com. The boot camps that we do with Band of Brothers is bootcampdetails.com. That's really it. So that's how people can get in touch with me.
Yeah. Well, it's encouraging. There's a lot going on, but I think the general consensus is if your why is strong enough and who you're partnered with, that's the biggest thing, and that is important. And if you're partnered with God, he'll want you to dream big, and then you just got to chase and work after that. So,
and he'll grow your dreams and grow your dreams, and then all of a sudden you're doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome, but you gotta be hungry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Gotta be hungry.
Well, thanks, Luke. We appreciate it,
man. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. This is exciting. So let me know if there's anything else I can do for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Luke.